Awesome. All right, so this is us kicking off our tap talk for this month. As you can see here on the screen, we're going to be talking about meal prepping versus takeout and how that can affect your or impact your financial goals. Uh, my name is Clement Familucci. I am the president of the Affluence Project, and again, our goal over here is to again promote generational wealth within communities. Again, giving individuals the tools and opportunities, education as well, to, grow their wealth. So again, this is one of our pillars here. We have our tap talks generally on a monthly basis. And again, we discuss, different things throughout, uh, live daily life that, we can tweak and kind of just pay attention to help us on our journey to growing wealth. So with that being said, this is our tap talk. And again, it's going to be a quick presentation here. We have Christian Cole with us today. He's going to walk us through a few things, and then afterwards we'll go into an open discussion. So, Christian, all yours.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thank you to the Affluence Project for bringing me on. Happy to discuss. I'm very much involved in financial literacy, and I think that this topic about what we spend on food is very important. And I think that it's something that we as young professionals may overlook or not realize that it's one of those creeping spending habits where we kind of eat into our financial goals. So hence the subtitle. So this is meal prep versus takeout. Are you eating into your financial goals? And that's what we're going to talk about. Okay.
Yeah, and I know it might take a second to switch between slides here.
Yeah. So we're slide two?
Yeah, we can see slide two. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's talk about food habits. So us as young people, we eat differently. I think that we are in a age group that these are for individuals, my millennials, um, you know, anyone that is in adulthood, young adulthood, obviously no longer relies on your parents. So that could be someone who's a teenager, but then even to that next starting at like 18, and then moving up from there, you're no longer looking for somebody to essentially prepare your meals. You don't necessarily go home and expect to have food, or it might be more of your responsibility, especially going into college and then after college, for sure. So we think about what we do and what our current routine is. So we live lives that are pretty sporadic, and we end up skipping meals a lot of times. So a lot of people, a lot of my friends, myself included, will skip breakfast for sure, whether it's you going to sleep late, waking up early, but you might not eat breakfast. Or even if you're in the middle of the workday, you want to get things done. Sometimes you just want to grind it out. The clock is almost coming. You're like, you know what? I can make it till 3. I can make it till 4. I can make it till 5. Then next thing you know, you didn't eat lunch. So that's something that we do, and we don't understand that it affects us because it creates a irregular eating habit. So snacking. So people will snack. One thing people won't do is if they're not eating meals, but they'll find themselves grazing. I'll find a bag of chips. I might stop at, whether you work in an office or whether you're in the house, but you're in the kitchen and you're grabbing pretzels, you're grabbing chips, you're grabbing candy, whatever it is that's quick and easy. And those are things that we don't think about as meals, but because our body needs to like eat something, chew something, we might grab those things, and then before you know it, we're used to eating snacks, but we haven't eaten something that would just make us feel satisfied. So studies show that many young adults eat fast food 2 to 3 times a week. So it's the same thing. We're thinking about affordability and convenience. A lot of people will just grab something quick, because when you put yourself in this mind frame of feeling hungry, and then you're waiting to the last minute, your food choices, your mental clarity goes down, and then you're like, you know what? I got to get the first thing I can eat that feels good, that reminds me of something that'll make me stop feeling this feeling. And so that leads to food choices that tend to be on the fast food side. The problem with fast food is typically made with ingredients that are worse for our bodies, or get broken down quickly. They don't leave us feeling full for a long time. We'll end up eating, and then we'll eat like empty calories, and we also won't get the necessary nutrients that we need. Fast food also has a lot of tends to be higher in sugar, higher in sodium, higher in trans fats, these things that are not good for our bodies, not good for us long term, and then also just perpetually make us feel hungry, and then we end up eating more. And eating more, even though you might not feel like you're eating a lot, because you're eating more frequently, you'll end up spending more. So yes, I'm buying cheap meals. I'm buying, a cheap burger and fries, but because it didn't really fill me, because I'm hungry, and then also the high salt, the high sugar creates like an addiction. So now I'm chasing that high that my body's getting used to, that I always make the quick option. I end up going and becoming a regular. So now I'm at Chick-fil-A, instead of once or twice a week, I'm at Chick-fil-A every 5 days, or 5 days in a row. Or I'm getting like Taco Bell or something that I know, even Chipotle, like those things are marketed as more healthy, but when you leave your body like becoming like addicted, or essentially in a routine of just grabbing certain food types, you'll end up developing a craving, and then that craving will translate to you being compelled to spend more and more. So we're keeping in mind the financial burden that may come from poor food choices. And then sugary drinks, energy drinks, coffee. So coffee, a lot of people drink coffee. There's nothing wrong with coffee if you're drinking responsibly, but when you tend to have, the lattes and the frappuccinos and the mocha, whatever's, those will tend to have a lot of whipped cream, a lot of caramel drizzle, chocolate bits, and these are things that, again, we may not realize when we're eating them initially, but eventually we will tend to have cravings, and you'll tend to become slowly addicted to these things. Caffeine is addictive, but then on top of that, the sugar is probably the most potent drug that we don't really recognize. So that's like something that our eating habits will actually compel us to spend more when everything catches up. So that's what we want to keep in mind first before we even think about anything, is how am I actually eating food? What is my current habits? Uh, Next slide. So influences on food choices. So another thing to keep in mind is absolutely, why am I eating what I eat? What influences my mind? What makes me say I want to eat, like oxtail, rice and peas? For me, that's my culture. I'm Jamaican, so I'm gonna eat that. I'm used to it. My grandmother's given it to me, so it's something that I feel comfortable with. So that's like a component for me. For other people, that may be like tostones, or that may be like fried chicken. Like like being black, we love fried chicken. That's something that's said, and it's a stereotype. But then there's also a culture around it, so it becomes deeper than just like, this is what I like, or this is my preference. This is what feels comfortable. This is what feels like home to me. And those food choices also create habits, reinforce those habits, and those habits are the things that we are using our dollars to keep up. And then body image and fitness goals. So a lot of people's food choices can be influenced by their fitness goals, their body image. So they'll make choices about the food that they're eating because they may or may not want to look a certain way, or there is this idea that if I eat this, if I have higher protein foods, then I will, emulate a certain body type. So those are things that people look at, as well as social media. Of course, social media is one of the biggest drivers in almost all habits and all behaviors that a lot of people do, especially people our age who grew up with social media throughout the boom. So individuals will literally say, I'm going keto, or I'm pescatarian. Like, these become things that are pushed on social media, in blogs and posts, And we see people now making food choices based on what's the common concept, the common, thought process, or whatever's popular, or the fad diet that is on social media these days. So we noticed that as well. And so just a fun fact: 69% of millennials have shared photos of their meals on social media in the past year, with 26% taking 10 or more shots to capture the perfect image. I'm 1,000% guilty of that. Everyone knows the phrase, the phone eats first. So this is just showing that people think about their food, but also the aesthetic around the food. And now I have to take this photo. But the deeper meaning behind that is this keeping up with the Joneses. Like, I need to always show that I'm getting this new trendy food, or I'm getting this new exclusive item, or this really expensive food that I may not need. I definitely don't need it to survive, but I may not even need it, like, to not feel hungry, or I may not even be in the mood. But because I have the opportunity, and because, it presents itself, I'm gonna get this because it will look great. It will look great on my feed. It will look great on my gram. And so you'll see people going to fancy, chocolate shops, getting um whether it's like the cronut, or getting like hot chocolate, or specialty cookies, buns, whatever it is. People are always taking a photo of something. Everything is a photo opportunity, and that influences some of the food choices that we make as well. But those things tend to be a little bit more pricey because of the aesthetic, and then therefore it influences our pockets. So now, meal prep. So meal prep is the act of preparing meals ahead of time, which can save you time. And this is essentially, what people know as just preparing your food, packaging it up. I make my food for the week. Popular thought process. On Sunday, I'm gonna cook all the meals I need for the week. Now, the benefits of that is it saves time. Essentially, if you cook one time in your meal prep phase, you don't have to cook every day. You're also not waking up or coming home from work. Say I'm working a 9 to 5, and I come home from work and I'm like, damn, what am I going to eat tomorrow? I don't have to prepare that food because I've already done it. I spent one time, sectioned it off, and I set myself up for the week so that I can just grab and go. And that's one less thing to think about, one less stressor potentially. Also, it's a lot easier to make healthier choices. So just talking about some of the pros for meal prepping, it's a lot easier to make healthier choices when you're making the food, one, when you're not starving. So you're making the food for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'm not in the moment where I'm hungry, or I'm coming home and I'm tired. So I'm just gonna grab the easy thing, or the fast thing, or the thing that is a little more guilty. I can make this strategic move to say, what, let me put some more broccoli in my bowl today, or let me try and up my vegetable count. Those are things that you can do when you're in the prepping stage, because you can actually think about what it's going to look like and make a better choice rather than making a choice under pressure. So the other thing is, it saves money. So it ultimately saves money, and that's what we're mainly here to talk about, because you're going to create a food budget. And when you buy your food items in bulk, you have the opportunity to purchase the ingredients that could make 5 or 6 meals. When you're buying it retail at a store, you're buying one plate, but for the price of what could make 6 meals. Case in point, salad. One thing I personally hate to purchase at a restaurant is salad, because a salad could cost you the price of an appetizer, $12 to $15, right? And then, but I know for a fact that an entire head of lettuce may cost me $3, may cost me $4. If it's Whole Foods, it's organic, maybe 5, right? But then I'm buying a salad for $15, and I'm looking at myself like, this plate, first of all, is gonna still leave me hungry. But second of all, like, I'm literally throwing away money in when you think about the amount of food that I'm getting. So that's one thing that we talk about when we save money by cooking up front, and you're allowing yourself to make multiple portions, than spending the price of one portion and still being hungry the next day. So obviously, meal prepping can support your fitness goals for the same reasons as healthier choices. And then it reduces stress, which is very important. So a lot of people don't think about, every single day we're making choices. Every single day we're trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. It's the best strategy in our roles in our jobs. We're problem solving. So one less problem is I don't have to think about what to eat. I know what to eat. I've already made it. I've already planned it. And so that's just one less choice to make. That's one less stress on my brain. And ultimately, I can take that energy and focus on something else that actually is, a more pressing matter. Cons, huge con to meal prep. I will be the first person to tell you meal prepping takes some time. It's not fun. It literally can take 2 to 3 hours depending on what you're doing, the batching. And we'll talk about that because it's you only have so many burners on the stove, you only have so many pans. If you're making one item, you have to finish making that item and then clean the pan and then go in and do it again. Also, I hate dishes. Doing dishes afterwards is terrible. So that's also going to eat into your time, especially on like a Sunday or a weekend. So this is like why people honestly avoid meal prepping, because one of the main things is it really does suck to spend the time cooking your food. Um, Repetitive meals. So that's the same. It goes hand in hand with the time aspect. So when you are cooking a batch meal, so I know I'm like I said, if I'm buying lettuce or if I'm buying broccoli, I'm gonna purchase an item, and I'll probably use it for 2 or 3 meals. But if I'm spending, or allotting myself groceries for the week, I'm not gonna make a different meal for each day because I'm not getting a value on the ingredients. So I'm getting the ingredients that can be, made to make 2, max 3 meals, but that means that I'm going to have to eat the same thing once, twice, and sometimes 3 times a week. So depending on how you prep it, you're not really getting a much variety because essentially you wouldn't save if you were purchasing a wide variety of items. Buying in bulk is cheaper, and so you end up eating the same thing in bulk. Food can get less fresh, of course. So if I'm cooking on Sunday, by the time it's Thursday, not only would I be tired of eating it, but also it might be wilted. Like if you have a salad or if you have greens, they're going to be maybe turning a little brown, whether you got fresh fruit or if you got avocado, it might be a little soft now. So these are things that we have to think about when we're meal prepping and trying to strategically place the things that might not last throughout the week towards the front of the week and then put them in the back. But it is a real con. Your food by the end of the week may not be so fresh, may not be so appetizing. Still good though. Storage space. Putting all these cooked meals in your fridge can be very tedious, can be very annoying. It's a real fact. So some people it's enough of a blocker to not want to do it. And then initial costs. So it does cost money to invest in your meal prepping, so to speak. So if you want quality meal prepping items, so like myself, like I got this, so if I'm stacking these in the fridge, but I need to buy these, and then if you're petty like me, they need to be like uniform. I can't see like 3 or 4 different types of like containers. It's kind of annoying. It doesn't look good. They don't stack right. And then God forbid you lose one. Now you can't ever find the right rectangle that fits this square bowl. Like it's the worst. So it does cost money to buy some stuff. And then I don't even like this that was plastic. But if you're buying glass, like glasses might be even more expensive. So those are things to think about. Real facts that affect us. And then now, takeout, going out to eat. So this is the other thing that people do. If I'm not meal prepping, I have no choice but to order takeout or go out to eat. So there are pros and cons to both of those. So the pros for takeout or going out to eat, of course, convenience. Like I said, I don't have to spend the time. I don't have to. I'm not in the kitchen cooking. I go in there, I point my finger, I say a couple words, wait a little bit, and food pops up in front of me. It's beautiful. We love that. But it's the most convenient thing, but you're paying for that convenience. You're putting money in, you have to pay for it. And then, like I said, you're paying for the price of what could be a couple meals, you're paying for one meal. So that's the thing you get. Variety and flavor. It's a real fact. Like we said, if I'm ordering food, I can get a sandwich today. I can get, a beef patty tomorrow. I could get chicken over rice the next day, and then I can get tacos the next day. Like I can switch it up. It's fun. Some people, and like we said, this is why we talked about influences with food. Like food can be an emotional thing as well. So if I'm eating different things, I'm happy, I'm having fun because I'm eating different food. So I really like that, and that goes right into social and lifestyle aspects. So and there's a social component to eating. If I'm going out to eat, or if I'm eating lunch in like an office or with coworkers, I have this opportunity to share food. We order together. We have group orders. Everybody has probably participated in like a group Uber order, and it's cool. Like everybody puts their money in, you get the food, you split it up, and then you get to eat and break bread with people. Like it feels social, and then also going out to eat, like going out to lunch or going out to dinner, even on a weekday, it's an opportunity to connect with other people, and then you get the opportunity to eat more food, and but again, you're paying for it. It's going to cost you. It's not the most cost effective. Supporting the economy, that was a stretch. Honestly, it's just, yes, buying, support a black business, whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, like, buying food, you are keeping a restaurant open, paying for servers. If we're just looking at a way where, if you want a holistic reason to feel like, not cooking your own food was a good idea, that's one for y'all. I just threw that in for those people. And then experience, execution. This is my number one. I go out to eat because, and when I do go out to eat, I'm ordering something that I cannot cook myself. I'm not going to make a tomahawk steak. I'm not going to make ramen. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not even going to make a meatloaf, honestly. So, like, if I go out, I will order these things, something, a fried fish. I'm not smelling up my whole house. But somebody else is gonna do that in a commercial kitchen. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna order that, and I get to experience this food that I love, that I like, but I didn't have to cook it. I didn't no sweat off my back. So that's one of the beauties of takeout. Even when you get home, like I got the Chinese food there. People love Chinese food. I haven't eaten Chinese food in years, but at least not like that. But if you do like Chinese food, like there's nothing wrong with going home, kicking your feet up, and busting open a box of, I don't know, kung pao chicken. Like that's an experience even in the crib. But I didn't have to cook it. It just came to me. Cons. It adds up. It costs. It costs. It costs. It costs. No matter what, eating takeout, that credit card bill fly, and it sucks. It does get expensive, so that's self-explanatory. Same thing with less control over nutrition. So because we talked about the fact that I don't have to cook it, because I'm not back there, I don't really know how much, the high quality of ingredients, but also like when it comes to discretion on salt, if I want to use organic oil or avocado oil versus olive oil or vegetable oil. Like I'm not making those decisions because I'm not cooking. So you don't have as much control over your nutrition or the content of the food because someone else is making it. And that goes right into the health impact. Going out to eat can affect your health a lot more because you're going to tend to eat things that are a little bit more savory, a little bit more full of flavor, full fat. These things will tend to raise cholesterol. Like all of the things that taste good in abundance are not good for us, and for that reason, going out to eat and takeout can affect your health. And the food quality and hygiene, same thing, very self-explanatory. And then decision fatigue. So like I talked about, with meal prepping, I don't need to think about what to eat, but throughout the week, I don't know, I've definitely gone weeks where I didn't cook, and it literally gets to a point where you're literally tired of figuring out what to eat. Like you're just like, damn, what to eat? Like you may look at a significant other and just be like, yo, like, what should we eat? I have no idea. What do you want to eat? I don't know. You're looking for somebody else to give you a suggestion because you're tired figuring it out. Like it literally becomes like a hassle. It literally becomes a job to figure out what to eat, even if you're not cooking it. So that's something that everyone may experience if they are consistently doing that. So here, I'm not just talking on my ass today, ladies and gentlemen. I did give y'all a real experience on how I meal prep just for this, for presentation purposes. So this is me. I do go to Whole Foods. I do get organic food. I'm a little bit, like that, at least when I get the choice because it's my nutrition, right? So I got the chicken, the broccoli, sweet potato. I got 3 apples, got 4 avocados. I got some pasta, some sourdough penne. I was trying it. Not really a fan of the sourdough penne, but it's fine. And then if y'all see my grape jelly that I got right there in the top right corner, yeah, I made a peanut butter jelly sandwich before I took this picture because I was starving. So that's why the jelly happens to be open. But aside from that, this is what I got. I think something else is missing here. No, I think that's everything. So it only cost me $67, right? And I know for a fact that if I went out to eat, I could blink and spend $67 by accident. So right there, I got all these ingredients for $67, right? And then let's see. So this is what we made, y'all. I'm just out here showcasing the meals. So I got the sweet potato, we chopped it up, the chicken right on the pan, and then some broccoli, lightly dusted with some garlic, some onion powder, a little butter, like glazed to give it, a nice little roast. So this is me making this. Um, yes, that's right. That's right, Yasmin. You already know. And so this is how it turned out. This is our meal prepping situation. So we got some chicken. I did some white rice that I already had, and then I made the broccoli, the sweet potato. On the other side, we have the penne with vodka sauce, and then like a meat sauce as well, ground beef. And so we were able to come up with these 4 meals. These were just sorry, these are the 8 meals that we packed. Um, but I had leftover ingredients of everything here except for the broccoli and sweet potatoes. So I was able to obviously I have more food. So just I have extra chicken. I used all the meat actually. I had a little leftover pasta, but other than that, of course, I had extra rice, and so I'm able to do chicken and rice on the side, whatever, mix it up, do some fry it, whatever you want to do. But I made 8 meals and I had extra food, so that what came from my $67, and then right, so right here we have $34. $34 is the average price of a lunch order on Uber Eats in the United States. So I say United States because I want it to be fair. I don't know who else may have been on the call or may watch this recording, but we do. This number is higher in New York City. Like, let me just say that. So of course, Uber Eats is just one meal prep. I mean, sorry, one meal delivery service, but it's one of the most popular. So it just makes sense to use it. Most people have or will order on Uber Eats at some point. And a typical lunch. So we're just doing lunch because everyone may eat lunch. A lot of people skip breakfast, some people skip dinner, whatever. But at some point, somebody's gonna eat lunch. So it may cost you $12 to $18. It's on a low end. And then you got the delivery fee, which is like $3 to $6, and you got a service fee, which nowadays is literally like another $4 or $5, and then tip, which is crazy, but that's what they actually get paid, so should tip. And so yeah, you're looking at like $34, right? So that number is literally half of what I paid for with the groceries that gave me 8 meals. So that's just something to just put in perspective about the cost of purchasing food daily versus cooking your food. So that is an option that we want to think about. And then we say, you know what, maybe I should try to plan my meals instead of ordering it. So how can we budget for food? Easiest way is to consider your percentage of your monthly income. You want to think about like any budget, you want to just pick how much you're actually going to work with. And so a common guideline is 10 to 15% of your take home pay. So in this example, after taxes, this person brings in 3,500. That gives them a buffer of $350 to $525. So that's their 10 to 15% for the month. And then now if they're thinking about what to do with that $350 or that $525, you want to plan your weekly meals. So pick 3 to 4 meals that you can rotate: chili, pasta, stir-fried grain bowls, right? So for me, I did my pasta and I did my rice, did my chicken. And then I bought the groceries, and I was able to make those. This part down here, buy groceries strategically. So yeah, you can purchase groceries in bulk from Trader Joe's, Aldi, Walmart, BJ's, Costco. Personally, I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to like the type of groceries that I buy. So I do tend to buy more expensive groceries just because I like the organic food. I like to know where the food's coming from and stuff like that. But you have the option to purchase in bulk where you're literally reducing your spend. So in 1 month you might have to purchase rice, but then for 2 months you don't because you bought like 15-pound bag or 25-pound bag of rice or something like that. So those are options. Same thing with frozen veggies. I like fresh veggies, but if you buy frozen veggies, you're reducing your purchases even more. Your spend even more. Same thing with chicken. Frozen meat is an option. Eggs shouldn't even be on here anymore because eggs is expensive nowadays. But that is traditional staple food that people would purchase, and you can get farm like eggs from a farm that are cheaper, not the ones that are sold in a supermarket. So that's just something to think about. And then you have groceries versus dining out. So it would be unrealistic and not smart if you're making a budget and you don't put in your budget some wiggle room, some ability to actually go out or maybe not be, splurge a little bit. So it's good to set a budget for what the dining or takeout is. It's not good to just say, you know what, I'll never go out and eat. Like you will give yourself an option, but also give yourself a limit. So that could look like $60 to $100 or $240 to $400 for groceries, and then you're giving yourself the $100 to $150 of your dining out money or your takeout money. So if you do that right, 4 times you might be able to buy, 4 lunches if they're $25. If you're on that 350 plan, and maybe 150 if you're on that 525 plan, whatever you wanted to do. And of course, you can scale it how you'd like, or if you saved even more money on your groceries, that's more money you could put towards you're dining out. So, as young adults, those are the kind of decisions that we want to make, but just be aware of. And yeah, so again, the takeaways here is just to be aware of your spending and use tools to help you. So you can use resources like ChatGPT to make sample meal plans and offer suggestions. So the goal is to literally take away the decision tree in your mind about food and give yourself the option to simplify it, not have to think about it, put it on autopilot. So everybody's using ChatGPT for everything else. Why not use it for your meal plan? Why not use it to help you make some decisions about what your daily life looks like and how you can literally save some money by scaling back on frivolous purchases and making some better choices and planning on what to do with your money when it comes to food. So that's about it. I think that concludes everything I had for today. I do
Awesome.
have a full meal plan too, but separate.
No, no problem. I really appreciate that, Christian. That was phenomenal. Hopefully everybody was able to relate. I know I definitely was able to relate to some of that. So, want to take us into our, discussion portion for the last 15 minutes of the call, and just want to, again, anybody has anything they want to bring up, uh, as it pertains to meal prepping, or even eating out. I guess I can start off by saying for sure, definitely have my moments of motivation to meal prep. But a lot of times, you get into it where it's, you've had a rough week or rough day. To your point, you're not thinking about sitting down and allotting time to cook the food if you don't already have it a part of your regimen. So you go ahead and opt out, um, and go ahead and order some food. So I guess the question I want to ask is like, what are some of your, and anybody can answer this here, but what are we doing, as a group to kind of get ourselves back into the meal prepping mood, after we've kind of fallen off the wagon. How do we kind of shock ourselves back into meal prepping again, after going on a Uber Eats or DoorDash vendor?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's been hard. Definitely been in a mood of just spending, but uh, I would say that honestly, cooking for, maybe like a family member or somebody else might give you motivation to kind of get back into the swing of things if you have the opportunity, or if there's somebody that could benefit from that, maybe making it where it's not just about you. Sometimes some people are able to push through things they don't want to do when it's bigger than them. So that's just one strategy I would think of.
I like that. Anybody else got any tools they're using to kind of shock themselves back into meal prepping when they fall off?
For me, I think one of the things I recently got into meal prepping, honestly, it's not as I'm typically my ministry. I'm a takeout warrior. But I would say that I try to incorporate more like cultural foods into my meal prep. Like Christian, as you noted, like you could get a bit cooking more like American Mediterranean style foods, but I can't eat that every day. So like sometimes last week, for example, in my meal prep, I had brown stew snapper and like some provision. Right, that was like my Christian laughing, but for real, I'm telling you, next week is gonna be chicken, stew chicken and dumpling. Like I have to have something in there to look forward to. I cannot just be eating broccoli and Brussels sprouts. It's not gonna work for me.
I have a follow-up question there because I think that's part of my issue as well. Is that some of us are still on Michelin star 1, right? We're not on star 4 like Yasmin. So how do we get to, you know, kind of that level where you can throw, you can confidently put a snapper on a stove and know you're not gonna have to throw it out after you make it.
I can't help you with that. I grew up cooking, so I don't know the answer to that one.
I was gonna ask that next question, if that came with the, as part of your training, or you. So I guess anybody using YouTube University to handle that, or everybody else here is just that's straight. The ancestors talking to you when you're over there.
I mean, for me, I definitely learned most of my cooking growing up, but like new recipes or things that I may have been too young to like absorb, I follow YouTube. So I think, when you get the basic skills down, yeah, YouTube will set you right. Like YouTube University is the best. Yeah, I say try it. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you'll never get it. It's like anything.
Nah, I've definitely been.
Pages on Instagram, CJ, that I could send you.
Nah, I definitely, I'd appreciate. I think maybe we should put that in the show notes. Some of our.
CJ, you should definitely start practicing.
I've definitely you've been using my wife as a guinea pig, so it's been you kind of have a little more motivation to cook a good meal when when you're messing up a little bit.
She be clowning you. You have to.
Don't worry, I got faith in Kay. You're going to be a yard man soon. No problem.
Yeah, if it doesn't go on the grill, then I have a tough time. So that's where I'm at with this. Like, if it doesn't go on the grill, I gotta cook it in the house. Then sometimes I get a little impatient. I think that's my thing. I get impatient. I try to skip steps, and they said, oh, 250 for 30 minutes. All right, let's double that, 500 for 15.
Oh, yeah.
So that's part of my problem.
Nah, so that's another thing too with cooking. Cooking, a lot of people don't realize what cooking is chemistry. Like cooking is literally like chemical reaction. So you can't do stuff like that. You can't, yeah, because you're just gonna burn things. You're gonna change the consistency. It's just not gonna work. There are techniques, but those are for the big boys. Like those are for skilled people, like to really know how to like pressure cook in like a non-pressure cook pot and stuff like that. But yeah, follow the directions.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. I guess another thing that I was curious about is, I guess, has anybody experimented with kind of the in between of, okay, maybe I don't make my own food, and maybe I don't, eat out. Maybe purchasing in bulk from, getting meal prep done from your local bodega or restaurant. That's your local go-to restaurant. Anybody experiment with that and see any benefits to doing it that way?
I haven't tried the local restaurant route. I've tried like HelloFresh and some of those subscription services. I just feel like the portion sizes there tend to be small for me. But I have heard of people going the bodega route, or I think even like Chipotle. I think I saw at some point people were doing meal prep from Chipotle. I think, though, in my opinion, it kind of goes back to one of Christian's points about nutrition factor, right? It's like, how do I know what they're making, their meals with, and does that align with my nutrition goals?
No, that makes a lot of sense there. Yeah, I mean, some of these stores, they definitely add a good amount of salt, sugar to whatever it is they're making. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think is just I've been trying to find ways to cheat the system, but I guess you really can't. You're gonna lose something somewhere if you do it a different way. So,
they definitely have like healthier places. Like I've done meal prep. I like several times actually. Like I've previously ordered it. Like the past few weeks, I've been ordering meal preps from this place called Redefine Meals, which is actually pretty good. Yeah, you should try. They have a bunch of locations. But a bunch of locations in Long Island too. But they're like marketed towards like being more healthy. But like you said, there's trade-offs. You got to try them. Like Yasmin said, portions can be off or may not be comfortable. But it's the same thing as the pros and cons. So like ordering a meal prep from a service is definitely easy and convenient. It also takes away from the decision that you can kind of get more variety. So like I was saying, like if I'm cooking, I'm gonna only make two meals, maybe a third meal if I really had time. But because they're literally meal prepping for people as a service, they're ordering multiple different meals, so you can get 5 meals as a part of your meal plan.
Yeah.
And then that way you have that variety. But the same thing is like, it may not taste good, or their version of, like curry chicken might be watered down, like whatever it is. So those are the things that you have as trade-offs. But I support ordering meal prep from a meal prep service. I never used to previously, but having done it now, having been exposed to it, I think it's a great option. It's a lot faster than cooking, and then you just kind of gotta weigh the cost, right? So the cost of it versus the cost of me going in, making food, the time I'm spending, that's a cost, as well as if I mess up, if I'm not a great cook, it honestly might be more expensive to like repetitively mess up your meal prep.
Yeah.
And then you're wasting batches of food. Like it's one thing to like say like I'm gonna try and cook dinner tonight and get better, but if you're trying to cook a meal prep for a week and you don't really know how to cook, then that becomes maybe not the best decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like they gave you you asked for curry chicken, and they gave you chicken curry over there.
Yeah, they don't got that on the menu. I'm just saying, they're not that cultured.
Yeah, that's pretty good then. Yeah, I think does anybody else have anything food related? I know. I guess my hard stop ends up being like I have a Monarch account, which I use to track all my finances. So I have alerts on there that say, hey, you're $150 over your restaurant budget for the month. And so that's my kind of flag to be like, all right, it's meal prep time. So I think that's been my kind of go to hard stop.
What's going on, Christian? First of all, good presentation. Really. I recently for the past 2 weeks, I've been using AI. Like ChatGPT has been helping me with my meals. Like I type in there what I want to eat for 7 days. She's still trying to get right on jerk chicken. She ain't get that right yet. But I've been using it. It's been helpful, but it's one thing just using it. You have to have the willpower to keep pushing through. So I've been successful the last 8 days making my own meals.
Nice.
Let's see what happens next week.
I will say ChatGPT is good in that regard, Lamar. Thanks for bringing that up. Because you could put in dietary restrictions in there. Like if you got high cholesterol, you could tell them to pull together like a 7-day meal plan of low cholesterol. And they also incorporate like cultural stuff. Like I asked for a Jamaican menu. It got a little dicey when they started telling me to make wheat dumpling. I'm not going to hold you, Christian. Then I was done. But it was pretty solid, I will say. I like that component.
Yeah, I think I'll have to try that. Actually, what I did recently, I threw so I went and got blood work done. You know, you go for your physical. I threw my blood work in there and had ChatGPT give me a full report on like, you know, my A1C, you know, what I need to be doing better, some recommendations ultimately, right? As opposed to paying the extra whatever dollars for them to do a special report for you at the doctors. And it worked out pretty well. It came out pretty nicely. Again, gave some, you know, again, not super specific to where it's like, you know, you might need a doctor or a specialist to give you that type of recommendation, but they give general enough recommendations for a plan of action to, you know, kind of change things around that, you know, you're noticing, okay, this is spiking or whatever the case is. So I thought that was pretty cool. What I might do is I might like add to that model, like, okay, you know, based on my results, go ahead and put together a plan for me. So I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's why I used it. So I did get my physical as well, and it wasn't the way that I wanted to be. It's that I was a pre-diabetic. So that was the reason why I went on ChatGPT and was trying to find ways so that I don't be a diabetic. I feel like because I'm fat, but ain't nobody want to tell me that. But yeah,
yo, listen,
that's why I went back to running.
we all pre-diabetic. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been pre-diabetic for a minute. Like,
yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. I've been scouring NCBI trying to find some study that said the scale is racist. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is probably like the BMI thing.
Right. Baseline is off. That's right.
But you know what is my thing is I started like, again, this is my first year, like Kay and I shut out this year, like, you know, this is a healthy year for us. So like, again, making sure that all your appointments are scheduled, you do 2 physicals, do 2 cleanings, do 2 everything in the year, you know, not to let it, you know, don't let anyone get, you know, pass you by. So, you know, definitely like paying attention to, you know, having a metric to measure up against next year or 6 months from now, to make sure that, again, it's not growing, even if it's at a certain level right now. So I think that's the big thing that I've been paying attention to, is like make sure that I'm not trending upwards, you know, where I'm meant to be trending, you know, meant to be lower, or not trending downwards where I'm meant to be higher. So it's been, and also like I think understanding like ChatGPT is real cool because you start to understand the different, you know, metrics that are used to, you know, to say, you know, what's in your blood, your A1C, your, you know, your I guess what was the other one for cholesterol? There's a bunch of different
HDL and LDL.
Exactly. Yeah. See, so like again, I had no clue what all that is. You know, you're not paying attention to that. You just wait for the doctor to say, oh, you know, you have an issue, right? So I think kind of getting ahead of it was pretty cool. And I know we're talking about, you know, food here, but I guess it ties into health.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, and health is wealth. So, you know, yeah, that's pretty cool. I think the meal prepping thing can be more fun too if you have somebody kind of helping you to choose what, you know, ChatGPT's helping you choose what you should be making. So
that's a fact. I'm gonna try and do the whole like I got this, and this in my fridge. Give me 3 ideas, like, you know what I mean? Like that's also a good way to do it, because sometimes it's the same thing. Like you open the fridge, you're like, damn, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Right.
Anybody have any go-to? This will probably be the last question. I know we hit time a couple minutes ago. But anybody have any go-to meals or like pre-made prep things? I know sometimes I reach in that freezer and grab one of those pre-made, you know, patties out there or something like that. You know, obviously you got the ready-made pizzas and things like that. But anybody have any like, I guess, healthier or go-to items, even snacks? I started messing with the unsalted almonds or the salted almonds. Some of the snacks that are better than pretzels or better than Ritz or something like that. So like, anybody got go-to snacks that are healthier and sustainably priced, that they want to recommend?
That's a good question.
For snacks, mine would probably be cashews and cranberries, like dried cranberries.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been eating a lot of peanut butter and jellies when I want a snack. I'm not gonna lie. Snacks, hard.
I just started messing with these right here. The all the
Blue
almonds.
diamonds.
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to like the pistachios, but there's a little bit of work. Then you got the ones that don't have shells. It was a little bit expensive, so I went to almonds.
And I don't know like what the nutritional value on Smart Food popcorn is, but I think that's another one of my go-to snacks that I keep in the house.
Gotcha.
Is that from Trader Joe's? Oh no.
Uh,
I know.
yeah,
No,
Smart pop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm really trying to think what snacks are good. Y'all I eat apples. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like,
Apples.
when's the last time y'all had an apple?
Well, my problem is I get a bag of apples and I'll eat 3 apples and then the rest I don't eat them in time. So like
damn.
I gotta grab the apples out like that are like you grab 3 apples, right? I gotta grab like a specific.
Yeah. Don't get too much. Yeah, it's not gonna go good. Oh, yeah, this is another thing too to think about. I don't want to take too much time, but like we try to buy food all the time. Sorry, we try to buy food like groceries.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
But like if you think about it, back in the day, like when you was eating like farm to table, like people would buy food every day. Essentially, like you would get a loaf of bread every day.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit more healthy way to live. So when it comes to like the fresh food, like you should buy the fresh food for like 3 days, and then that's it. That way you're not throwing out fruit. Like, yo, there's nothing more sad than like a brown mango or orange. Yo, like it's sad. Don't let them go to waste.
Yeah, and those bananas be telling me for real. They be telling me when it's time. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the spaces where I pay for convenience because like it is a lot more expensive to pay for the cut up fruit, but it gives me more variety.
Yo, it is
which entices me to eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, the pineapples, the cut up pineapples, definitely I'm not cutting down the pineapple from, I don't have the time to be doing that right now. So yeah, definitely.
I watched my boyfriend have a pineapple in his house, and then when they talk about, is this still good? It's been here for 4 weeks. What are you talking about?
Yeah, easy. I cut the hell out of a pineapple. Me, I cut it up because like the pineapple will be like this big, like $8.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's true. Now you definitely get your more bang for your buck when you buy the actual pineapple. But,
You do, but I definitely don't have the time, and then I end up with the sad fruit, like Christian said.
Nah, so yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's been a great discussion. Definitely a couple of things to take away from here to try out and keep us on track financially. I think all this ultimately comes down to tracking, right? Whether you're tracking your funds or you're tracking your and you're tracking your meal and you're tracking your intake, right? And to Christian's point, you don't need to be the person who meal preps, for 7 days of the week. It might not be sustainable. You might get fatigue, you might get whatever. But again, balancing out when you eat out versus when you meal prep, so that again you're getting the best of both worlds and it's also economic. So, definitely want everybody to keep thinking about different ways. We might come back around to this, subject, dive a bit deeper on, I know some of the options we mentioned about, ordering meal prep instead of, making the meal prep versus eating out strictly. So maybe we'll come around again and see some, speak about some more direct options. I know you mentioned that company, Christian. So yeah, but again, just want to implore everybody, keep tracking your stuff, keep tracking your finances, keep tracking your meals, track your health, right? Go get the blood work done, see what you should be eating, stuff like that. So, with that being said, I'll let you close it out, Christian, your first tap talk. So, appreciate you again for coming on, bringing this up for us, and all yours.
Christian, before you close out, can I plug an app? I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier. For tracking your health goals, MyFitnessPal, it gives you the caloric count for every meal that you eat.
Okay. Is it more than just the caloric count, or like?
I think it also gives you a nutritional breakdown. Lamar, you can give a thumbs up. Do you use it?
Yeah, this is my first week using it, so we'll see how that goes. But it's been helpful.
Mhm.
So I
Nice.
asked what my calorie intake should be, and I'm trying to stick to that number.
Yeah, I know my wife does that with the. She has an app. I don't know if it's that app. It's I think it's tied to her fitness app, but you know she can tell. Which again is another cool thing about tracking. Is like she can say, "Oh man, I already had X amount for today. I got to chill out, for the rest of the day." Or I didn't really have enough today, so I can I can splurge on a more savory meal or more savory treat or something like that. So yeah, the tracking, whatever apps you guys have to track is definitely. You said my caloric intake.
It's MyFitnessPal.
MyFitnessPal. Sorry, that definitely be a bad app name. MyFitnessPal. So for anybody who, yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Christian.
Bro, I signed in 11 months ago. That was the last time I signed in. That was a waste of money for me. Listen, you gotta know who you are. That doesn't work for me. Like, I can't do it.
Nah, keep trying, because again, I've had some apps that are tracking based, and it's taken me 3 or 4 attempts for it to stick. So again, this is your other opportunity to get back on the app, and again, design it in a way that's actually sustainable for your lifestyle. So, but thanks everybody. Christian, I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to the Affluence Project for having me. You just want to keep in mind, food can be tied to our finances. We can make some gains in our finances by being more cognizant about what we're spending our food on. And then also, I love that we ended up talking about the health component because, it really doesn't make any sense to be rich or have food if you are not healthy enough to enjoy it. So the food choices that we make will allow us to have longevity in our lives. So we need to keep that in mind. Everything is the purpose of this is about financial responsibility, but health and wellness are equally as important. So I think this was a great topic. I think that I'm happy to have shared on it, and I would love to talk about it some more. Thank you guys for having the discussion and listening to me. And yeah, let's see you guys next month. All right.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Christian.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank
Good night,
you.